Hi, I'm Paul Kelly, and in this Tech Talk video I'd like to talk a bit about the fixed equipment application kit for the AccessPack. Now if you're doing an install on an industrial site, you're going to encounter these things because these are the interface boards that control AC mains connected equipment. So lots of gear uses them, either whether it's a simple single phase thing like a grinder or a direct online motor starter. You're going to encounter these things a lot. So let's just go through how we hook them up and what you can do with them. Okay, so this is the board. It has 6 terminals on it that you wire in and a connector that the AccessPack goes onto. The first 2 terminals are shorted together to tell the AccessPack that the equipment has been stopped. The second 2 terminals across are active and neutral, and you wire AC power into those things. 240 volt max, guys, so if this is a 415 or a 440 install, then make sure you found the neutral and you've only fed that with 240 volts. And the last 2 contacts are the start, and that's a normally open or normally closed set of contacts which we actually use to energize the equipment. So you might wire it up as a power switch, or you might wire it up as a little momentary switch to bring in a latching contactor, and we'll talk a bit more about that now. Here's an example board that I've wired up on the bench, and you can see here we've got mains power coming in to the active and neutral lines. We've jumped across from the active to the input of the start switch, and then from there we are running a light globe. We've also wired a set of contacts on this momentary switch up across the stop inputs so that we can show how they work as well. Now to power this up, we're running off 48 volts, so it's nice and safe, and I'm running off an isolation transformer as well. If you are wiring these things up on the bench, make sure you use an isolation transformer, because otherwise you're 2 wires around the wrong way away from electrocution. So we'll plug that in, we'll turn it on, and you can see that the AccessPack we've got here now powers up. Now also on the board are these little jumpers, and they have 2 settings, pulse and toggle. Now I'll demonstrate how each of those works. So if I take my card now and I present it to the AccessPack, you can see the light comes on for a few seconds and then goes off. And that's with the jumper and the pulse setting. You can see that the AccessPack is still logged on. You would use this setting when you're trying to bring in a latching contactor, something like a direct online motor starter. It's a very common configuration. And you would just literally take the wires out of the start button on that circuit and wire them into the start inputs on this board, and it'll work. Note when I push the stop button now, the AccessPack logs off. Now if we change those jumpers from start to toggle, look what happens to the behavior now. Again, I'll present my card, the AccessPack logs on, the light illuminates and stays illuminated. In this configuration, the AccessPack is basically operating like a switch. Again, pushing those contacts logs it off. Now, it's very important. You can see that we've used these contacts here to tell the AccessPack to log off, and in this configuration the light globe did go off when we push the button in. However, it's really important that you don't remove any existing e-stop circuit that you have on the system, have in your wiring. Most of the standards require you to the e-stop button to electrically isolate the equipment. So in a lot of cases you'll find we give you an extra set of contacts to put onto your existing e-stop circuit, which you then wire into this. And in fact, here's an example of just that. This is a kit that we sell for fixed equipment, where you've got a start and a stop button right next to each other. And what we do is we give you a new stop button with 2 contact blocks already on it. So you just take the wires out of your existing stop button and connect them to that block. This block's pre-wired to the AccessPack, and you don't need to make any connections to the stop terminals inside this box. Back to this setup here where we have the jumper set in toggle mode, and we have the system basically operating like a power switch. We also sell a variant of this board and of this setup which is designed to be used like this, and it's designed for single phase equipment when you have to just turn on or turn off a piece of equipment. I'll turn this off now and I'll show that to you. It looks like that, and it is designed to go in series with the existing power circuit to the equipment. It has an e-stop button already on it. So I turn that on. The AccessPack's there. I present my card. The equipment starts. I press the stop. The equipment stops. Now I've actually wired this one up a different way, just to show you. What I've done here is, instead of making a connection to the stop terminals on the fixed equipment board, I've just wired the e-stop switch in series with the power coming into it. So when I push that e-stop, it disconnects power from the AccessPack and of course from the load as well. That's another way to implement the e-stop. Just turning the power off will of course cause the relays to de-energize, and then it will achieve, and it will turn off power to the AccessPack, which logs you off, and it does the same thing. So if you've only got one set of e-stop contacts available, then the safest way to implement an AccessPack system is to rig it so that when you push the e-stop, power is disconnected both from the equipment and from the AccessPack as well. Again, I'll show you that. Log on, equipment's on. With that switch in place, everything's powered off. So that's about it for the AccessPack fixed equipment board. It's quite a versatile little board, and we make it pre-packaged in a box. We make it as a standalone board that you can install into your own equipment, and we make it as a pre-wired assembly that you can use to replace an existing stop and start circuit on your own equipment. Check the manuals, all the documentation, all this is covered in the doco as well, but yeah, go out there, do some installs. Thanks guys.